Hey everyone, Dave here, and welcome back to Dave Talks About Stuff Baking. And on Critique My Technique today, we're going to do buttermilk biscuits. And the recipe for that will be down below in the description. And I did try to get the camera angle a little better for you, but still a bit off. I will keep working on that. Okay, we're going to start with 300 grams of all-purpose flour. I'm going to measure it out and add it to our mixing bowl. And then we'll get on to adding the rest of the ingredients after that. On this recipe, we're going to add 3 grams of salt to the mix as well. And I'm just going to measure that out right now too. Alright, now we're going to use 15 grams of sugar. I am measuring these out in a ramekin instead of the main mixing bowl, just because for me at the time it was a little easier to do the measurement on the fly without making a mistake. But you can just dump it all into the same container if you want, whatever's easiest for you. Since I'm not using self-rising flour on this particular recipe, I'm making it myself. So right now I'm adding 45 grams of baking powder into the mix in order to create the self-rising effect in the flour for the biscuits. That ding you just heard was actually my oven. One thing to mention is preheat your oven, because doing buttermilk biscuits is pretty fast. It takes about half an hour start to finish. So check out the recipe down below. It will tell you the ingredients, the proportions, and the oven temperature to use for baking biscuits. Alright, now we're just dry mixing all the ingredients together to make sure it's all over the mix and not, you know, a big glob of salt somewhere or sugar somewhere. It'll be important later for an even distribution when we're actually creating the biscuits themselves. We want everything to be uniformly mixed as best we can. Alright, now we're just adding in butter. This is 90 grams we're adding into the mix right now. I'm just measuring it out, and we'll get that into the mix in just a moment. Alright, we've added the butter into the mix. I'm now spreading it around, and I'm now breaking it up into smaller chunks to get it more uniformly distributed throughout the dry mix. And now I'm just distributing it, the smaller chunks of it, around the mix to make it more uniform. And now I've got my buttermilk out. You can get it at any store. In this mix, we're going to do 200 grams of buttermilk. Gives it enough liquid to actually moisten up the mix so we can make the biscuits from it, and it just adds great flavor. And now that the buttermilk is all in, I'm just mixing it around. Keep it gentle, but you want to basically get the buttermilk mixed in and create a shaggy blob of dough to work with. And it takes a little bit of while, but try to be careful. Try to do it fast, because you don't want the butter melting on you. Not the buttermilk, the butter. Because you do want the butter to stay as cold as possible for as long as possible. And if it starts warming up, just put it in the fridge for a few minutes, or the freezer, to cool it back down again so that you can keep working with it. So now I've got the dough in a bit of a shaggy format, and I'm just flattening it down. I'm trying to get the loose crumbs a little more onto it and together. Now in this case, I'm probably going a little too hard, and also because of my hands, it's going to be warming up the butter. So one thing I would make a change for next time is to just use a rolling pin. It's easier, it's faster, and frankly, it gets you a more flat, level dough, because I do mine at 1/2 inch, but you can go 1 inch in thickness, you can go less than that. It's up to you. In this case, what you see me doing is I'm flattening it out. You know, I've got it squared off, I'm flattening it out. Now it's a rectangle shape, and I'm flattening it down again. And again, rolling pin. Great idea. I should have been using one. So what you want to do, though, is keep flattening it down and folding it as quickly as possible, while being as gentle as possible, because this is what creates those flaky layers in your biscuits. So I do this several times and just create those layers as I go. But again, just use a rolling pin. I don't know what I was thinking when I did this one. I just totally forgot about it. All right, now the dough is flattened into shape. It's about a 1/2 inch flat. I've got my biscuit cutter out. I messed up that first one by twisting it. Just push straight down if you're using a cutter. That way it doesn't kind of pinch the ends of the biscuit closed a little bit, which prevents the rise and doesn't really help with the flakiness either. You can also just use a knife, a cup if you have it, to create the shape. If you're looking for shape, use the cup. Otherwise, just use a knife, do the whole thing in a square shape, and just cut, you know, a bunch of biscuit squares. A lot of bakeries do it that way. It's easy and it's convenient. And as you can see, the last bit I have makes kind of a tiny biscuit, so I'm just kind of by hand putting it into shape to get a tiny biscuit out of it. And now we are baking in the oven at 425 degrees for about 10 to 12 minutes, or golden brown. I sped up the video for you so you could kind of catch the rise without having to sit here for 10 to 12 minutes and watch. All right, the biscuits are ready. I'm going to get them out of the oven in a few seconds here, just getting my oven mitt on first, and we'll take a look at the final biscuit turnout. And do me a favor, if you can, just hit the like and subscribe button. It will really do me a favor and help me out on the channel. But if you do enjoy videos like this, or want to see other types of videos that I'm doing, also hit the bell button and get notified when I release them. Take care.